a friend among those West Virginia hills. Over those hills, oh, those beautiful hills. How I love those West Virginia hills. If for sea or land I roam, still I think of happy homes. As a friend among those West Virginia hills.
I'm sitting here at Chicago's best bus stop. It's on the corner of Lawrence and Broadway, right in the front yard of the Green Mill, home of the Poetry Slam. And on my left here is the poet laureate of Winthrop Street. His name is Casey Jones, and he's a regular at the Slam. Casey, how in the world did you ever get into writing poetry?
Well, I just happened to be in the Green Mill at one particular given Sunday, and there was an absenteeism, and they asked somebody to fulfill, and I waved my arm, and they accepted me on the stage, and I recited some poetry.
Is that the first time you ever identified yourself as a poet?
Yes, sir. That was about a year ago.
And did you just make up a poem on the spot to fill the order?
Well, I got some in my mind, but at that particular moment, particular time, I just made it up right on the stage. Read it right from my head.
Now, you're known as the Hobo Poet. Why is that?
Because I ride freight trains.
Really? Whereabouts?
Well, I usually go from here to West Virginia, and from here to on the B&O Railroad, and the Santa Fe to California. Sometimes I have some company, and sometimes I go solo.
Now, is a freight train a good place to collect your thoughts and write poetry?
It's the best place in the world, especially when you're riding on the rails, and it's so smooth.
What's the audience like here for your poetry? I mean, what kind of feeling do you get from? Why do you come here to read?
Well, I come here because I live here, and this is my favorite spot. And I know most of the people, and they appreciate me.
So when you write poetry to be listened to by others, or to be heard, or what's the audience you have in mind?
Well, most of the audience is drinking customers. We all bend elbows, including myself, which I'm not going to lie.
Bend elbow to lift a...
Yeah, lift a high... Yeah, lift a good note.
I understand you've been you were robbed of some of your poems. What exactly happened for that?
Well, I don't know. The door, somebody kicked into the door, and I live in a 12-bedroom mansion, and somebody happened to find all my poetry, and it disappeared. And there was a lot of work involved, and I felt very bad about it.
Not having memorized it.
I should have took lithograph copies, but I procrastinated, and I'm sorry that I didn't take some shots and give some papers to my friends to keep for me.
Have you ever had any kind of poetry lessons or writing lessons in your day?
Not outside of high school, and from the university a little bit. I attended the University of Louisiana, and I'm born and raised in West Virginia, and graduated from high school and was in the United States Navy flying.
Now, traveling around on a freight train, do you visit any places that are like the Green Mill in other cities? Is there anything, how would you compare what goes on here to other places in terms of poetry?
Everywhere, little hick town, little bar, big bar, Albuquerque, Cheyenne, Los Angeles, San Diego, and all parts through the U.S. almost. I always entered, purchased a drink, mentioned my name, and they accepted me and says to read poetry, which I did. And I always got a standing ovation.
Who are your favorite poets, besides yourself?
Well, I would say Wadsworth Longfellow. He's my favorite. I like his writings. There's many poets in this world, but I'm new at this game, realistically speaking, but I like it. It's not a hobby, but you gotta apply your mind to it and put the power of concentration.
What's the Green Mill like as a place for people who are just starting out writing poetry out?
Green Mill is a fabulous place for any newcomer to get started and be on the road to success. All he has to do, Mark Smith is the director and the producer and a great man and a great poet. And anybody that has a desire to read poetry can come forward and recite whatever they have in their mind.
If you weren't writing, reading, and reciting poetry, what else do you think you'd be doing?
Well, I work with horses. That was my last job on the farm. I took care of 45 horses with the Cramel milk industry, and I lived in a mansion, and I was happy over there until the union went on a strike and killed the whole dairy.
What would be the worst thing about the Green Mill Poetry Slam? Is there any, you have any negative? You have any kind of criticism? If you were to improve it, what would you do there?
I have no criticism at all. Some are professionals, some are amateurs, and some are beginners, and some are trying to get a start.
Would you do us a favor and read and recite another one of your poems here?
Well, I don't exactly have...
Have you ever done one that mentions about the Green Mill or mentions them?
Did I recite that West Virginia one?
Well, have you ever done a poem about the Green Mill or about reading there or anything like that? Anything that
well, to the place? A lot of times I read from the book because I can't memorize everything. I'm 62 years old.
Which book is that?
Oh, it's one by, I think his name is Moffat, and he's a great poet. And tomorrow I'm going to start rehearsing myself with all this literature.
Okay, now, do you have another poem that comes to mind right now that we could hear?
Well, I have a phrase. When you're down and out, raise your head high and shout, "Oh shit."
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for thanking me.
So I was born in an apartment about 3 blocks down the street on, what is it, Lawrence Avenue, right across from the Aragon Ballroom. And I could hear the music as I waited to be born. Waiting King, the walls king, in his golden sacks, rolling across the roofs and through the alleys, and into our windows down the street, making my feet move, making me wonder what sort of planet I'd come to anyway. And later as I crawled through Persian patterns of the rugs, and later still as I memorized my night paths behind the stores and through the shadowy streets, clarinets and trumpets heralded my way. But in less time than you'd think I learned that place. By day how it slept through roars of the passing elves, through sooty pigeons cooing at its windows, and by night how it turned to plaster Spain inside. gold statues of caballeros and their senoritas, and the thick red carpet stretching from the ticket taker into the illusion paradise of yellow balconies with vines and bright balloons and tiled roofs that scrape the Spanish sky at faint electric stars. And all the Lorettas and Teresas, Margies and Maries, half floozy, half Madonna in their first high heels, the smell of soap, the smell of sharp cologne, drawn there for the business of their lives. On these, the nights they came alive. Drawn there to meet a Sam or Tony, Mary or Fred, lanky, muscle-bound, or Mr. 5x5, but necessarily capable of serious dancing, either to the organ shuddering through the building or to a wispy saxophone, snare drum, and brushes for drifting slightly above the floor. And off in the haze beyond the dancers or up in the shadows of the balcony, the crew cuts and greasers, busy as scheming roosters, surveying the crop, considering anything fair game, girls who live for their mothers, or those with whom no one would dance, girls still homesick for small-town families, or those who could barely look up from their shyness, lost in their loneliness of makeup and corsage, blaming themselves for even being there. And always on the fire escape of summer nights, the bright dress and dark suit of quiet intermission. And always at the tables of the soft drink stand, those long conversations of serious intent. And always the ultimate weddings of relatives and wine held in the halls for all occasions. Always the painted wedding photographs of responsible grooms and basic brides, eyes blue, lips red, and cheeks unnatural pink. But now there's only a whisper of those lies rushes through the empty building with echoes of old black magic and small hotel. Take the A train, adios and Blue Room. And all those nights as though embedded in amber, kept safe for warmest charms, through hospitals or wars or gloves, as a reminder of those nights in Spain, or just of partners who could really dance. This is called Daryl Goldwater Farewell. I really knew him.
This next man coming up here, he's been around. He's been in poetry since they did it in bars. I mean, he's been in poetry since they did it for free. No, he's been in poetry a long time. And he recently did his new book in excerpts called Jet Plane at a place called the Wholesome Rock Cafe. And he is not going to do them tonight. And that kind of a guy pisses me off. That kind of a guy has no loyalty. That's all I gotta say. So, without further ado, Mr. Tim Anderson.
When I'm driving in my car, I like to swerve and cut you off. You're in my way, you drive too slow. Stay away, I've got a gun. I pass the stop signs on the right. If you race off of the line, if you do not let me pass and try to make me hit parked cars, I will give up where I'm going, follow you all the way. And when you park and leave your car, I'll smash your windows, then feel better, then go where I was going to. I'm only late. It wasn't quite like I thought, punching my boss in the nose. She cried and then she fired me, but I feel better now than anything. I'm addicted to adrenaline. I've got a full 2 liters coursing. I'm a member of the me decade. If I don't like you, I'll litigate your ass. If I don't like you, I'll hire thugs. I say rude things to old ladies in the grocery store. I say, piss off, old bitch hag. When I'm backing out of my parking space, if someone wants it, I pull back in. If I've got something you want, you can't have it. If there's no parking at hand, I use the handicapped space. I only date women who place want ads in the paper. Those kind are so desperate they always do what I want. I tell them no, I can't come in. I only like it in my car. Now put that thing between your lips. I need to feed my Trojan horse. His ribs are showing, but he can graze in the vacant lot across the street. Here, take a drink. Now take another. Get drunk with me, and I'll call you up again. I'll call you up again on the phone in my car. Now dress up like a leatherette, wearing the latest fashion. I've seen a rash of them walking down the street. Don't bother making eyes at me. I don't want to look at them. I'm a member of the me decade. At the first sign of trouble, I'm bailing out. I'm a member of the me decade. At the first sign of trouble, I'm covering my ass. I love the 80s. Never felt better. I feel free to do what I want. I make racial slurs and everyone's behind me. I beat up winos and no one cares. I pound those bitches' knees with my briefcase on the subway. Any lift, then I follow them home and try to yank their hair. No one talks to me that way. I shoot bullets through their windows. I'm a member of the me decade. I'm always looking to turn a buck. I'm a member of the me decade. I'm always looking to get my way.
Y'all make a move?
No.
Yeah, I'm totally on it. Spell my name right, okay?
Set up, Sean. Hi. Want that rate or what?
But first, a few announcements. Tomorrow night is Monday, and every Monday at the Get Me High Lounge, where all this poetry madness started, we got a gig going down there called Confessions, Monday nights. So if you got a confession, you can come to the Get Me High Jazz Club on Honore, and we're going to wail all night because Andy Meacham ain't playing there no more on Monday. So we don't have to quit at 10 o'clock like we used to be. Speaking of music and poetry, Don Brown, I think that's Don over there, is going to be one of our judges. He's going to be playing with his band after the slam. Next week, that'll be good, that'll be nice. Man wanted some poetry. This is Peter Tosh. He said, "Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight," he said. Down press a man, where you gonna run to? Down press a man. When you run to the ocean, the sea will be boiling. When you run on the rocks will be melting, he said. I am not here to live up to your expectations. You are not here to live up to mine. I owe you no obligations. You owe me none, so everything is fine. I am that I am. I am. He said, I'm a step-in razor. Don't you mind my size? I'm dangerous. I am dangerous, he said. If you are a black man, you are an African, he said. Everyone is crying out for peace. None is crying out for equal rights. Everyone is crying out for peace. None is crying out for justice. I don't want no peace. I want equal rights and justice, he said. Though I walk through the valley of darkness, I will fear no evil, because I know Jah guide I through this valley, he said. You got to fight against apartheid. Men with guns came to his home and asked him for money. He said no. Peter Tosh died in Jamaica, but all he said about lay down on that reggae beat, all he said, sweating in his dreadlocks, all he said about equal rights and justice echoes throughout Babylon, rings into the promised land. All he said goes around, goes around.
We like to get the media involved, see. We don't go to them, they come to us, and they play the game the way it's played here. The hardest seat in town is the judge's seat. Going 2 out of 3. It'll be Cindy versus Ken in the first round. They'll each read one poem. They will get a score. They gotta win 2 out of 3. Second round, Brett and Jim. Final round, championship. 4. $10. And the second place, you get your refund back. Can you ask for a better deal than that? $2. Karen Nystrom was a graduate student at Indiana, member of the Chicago Poetry Ensemble, featured at Sings next Wednesday. Don is a conductor and has his own jazz ensemble coming here after the Poetry Slam. Is that fair to say? And you know, I forgot your name. That's right.
Sounds like
Trucker, Mr. Rocker, the associate producer for Accessing. Cindy, first or second? Second. Ken Peterson. If the snapping starts, judges take it into consideration.
Snap along. The first spot is always an introduction for the second one, so this is an introduction for Cindy, actually. The education of men. Men must be educated by glorious and vibrant women. And there is no better reason for a man to have a heart. No better reason for a man to open his ears, connected to his heart, his body, not so that he may possess, but so that he may connect, like me, thrust into my knees in passion, thrown about like a dog bone, not for my cock's ego, her breasts, her womb, but those special moments of humility.
let's see the scores, judges. 2.1, a real slam over here. A 9.5 on this side, and a 4. We got 15.6. 15.6. Is that right? I have my bookkeeper over in the corner taking it. Okay. Judges, if you would do this, please. Mark one side of your card. That would be for Ken. And turn that over and mark the other side for Cindy so we can keep track. There have been known judges have made mistakes in counting, adding up. You never know. So this side is for Cindy, right? Okay. Cindy.
Properly pumped muscles, because those just pressed pecs are what's going to buy him dinner tonight, and he really can't afford a crease in his plans. He demands 3 full courses and a half of what's left over from hers. He says he's still growing, though I haven't heard anything new come out of him in years. Have you? Just shake your head, yes or no. Maybe all the creases went to his brain, drove him insane, and now he has to think sitting up, pushing up, pumping up all those perspirated, saturated excuses for conversation. He's so dull. He's an 8x10 glossy of himself on the shelf with a billion more that look just like him. No shit. I must have spent 8/3 of my life looking for an interesting picture frame at least. And stepping over lines the last person didn't bother to clean up. Burn up. Come on, throw up those next 69 syllables and let me try my hand at this preordained set of body worship you call good health. Anita Bryant used to do it drinking orange juice. But Anita Bryant wouldn't like me very much, now would she?
Cindy, you're on, baby.
This poem is finally dedicated to all the poets at the Green Mill. It's called Poetic Tendencies. I'm so happy I could... Shit, I forgot. I'm a poet. 1. They walk in pain like poets. Speak softly to begin, then get louder and harder, go softer, and then run their sentences all together like this. And poets don't believe in punctuation. Period.
How did the slam come about in the first place?
It was an accident. Just Mark Smith got a chance to start a venue here at the Green Mill, and we needed something to fill some time, and he decided he would have a slam. He wasn't even sure what a slam was going to be until the night of the actual performance, and he made this up, and that's how it started.
And what is the slam today? What can we expect?
Today we're going to have 4 poets, and they will go head-to-head, 2 out of 3. We got 3 judges giving them score points, 1 to 10, fractions included, and the winner gets to take home $10 tonight. Can come back in 3 weeks for the finals, or for the semifinals for $25, and the finals are $50. It's the only place in the city where you can make money being a poet.
And what are the rules?
No rules. Except you can't go too long, that's all. Now, the only rule I can think of is that it's original poetry.
And what are the...
such beauty. Yin yang. I had a dream where I farted for eternity. I was letting out an infinity of gas, of bad gas, of demons and victims of bizarre skeletons whom lived in the closets of man. Not just this life, but many, many, many lives, the marching soldiers of one spirit's hell, pouring out like diarrhea of the sins. And when it was over, yes, it was over, when the impossible was completed, when the bad patterns were a pile of invisible nothing, and the air was fresh, and my spirit was clean, I was gone from the flesh, and the brain of the dream. I was intrinsically free, where universes are barely considered dimension, and dimension is pure and clean. And you better know yourself.
And though our lives shall never be recorded in this age of cheap pop vinyl, our deaths can never be final as long as we live. So guide me through your hair, across your once chiseled finger, past the stomachs of our discontent. Let us cleanse our thighs where darkness may never crawl, and only light dares to bend. No, you're not as old as your practiced size, and I'm not so young as I am wise. And amidst this, let me tell you, none of us are as strong as we pretend.
This poem's about James Dean.
Oh, yeah.
The spider sang sleek and low down a sun-splashed concrete river. Bebop jazz was fast in the palm tree air. Sullen eyes shine from the rearview mirror. A cigarette hung casually from his lips, smoldering. Third gear was a warm friend. Thoughts became blurs, sailing past like solitary signposts. Doesn't matter. The sun is melting into a fate-swept road. Fourth gear is the only answer. I woke suddenly. Ice screaming through my veins. Old movie images burning into my eyes. My darkened bedrooms came slowly into focus. A lonely streetlight splashed through a window on a James Dean poster. I sat up in my bed staring at his image on the wall. Forever young. Striding down a rain-swept street, collar pushed up, hands pushed deep in pockets. Blue eyes lost in another time and another place. the misfit king, ambivalent hero for awkward loners like me. Somewhere he's laughing about that.
All you ever thought about was breaking all the rules. Wasn't that the line? Ready to go. So, judges, we got to beat a 19.7 here. We got a 5.9, 7.5, and a 5. And now hold them up. A 5.9, 7.5, and a 5. We're going to wait for the Compumatic answering machine back there to give us the answer. Double check for it. 18.4, first round to Breads. Okay, come on, come on, come on, come on. Jim, first or second? He's going second. The man with the plan. Brett Nevitsky.
This is something really short and simple for my child. There's a primitive rhythm within the hearts of complexity. Jagged smiles of desperate men reaching out from isolation. Digga digga, listen to it beat. You hear the song they're singing when the silver moon stares at me. With its guile, it pushes us around the bend, past frank streets of desolation. Digga digga, go the feet. And there's a rattling of chains in the charts of losses and gains. A blanket flowing out of empty trains. Where children early grow so old, where dreams are simply bought and simply sold, driven by the promise that it ends in gold. On the vacant corner where the neon glows, so the howling shepherd calls all his tired sheep into the fold. Out on the fridges, hear the heart. Listen, it's just the sound of men. And Mr. Spittle knows the price of diamonds and the vault he polishes. Dr. Middle tames leviathans with words admonishes. Yeah, they got cures for all our woes. But the Baldian head knowledge still grows. In the dry riverbed, the spirit still flows. Don't be scared, child. Listen once again, don't be startled. It's just the sound of man.
Disparate styles here. Let's see what the judges have to say about this one. A 6.4 from Karen. A 6.5, that's 12.9, and a 5, 17.9. Jim.
It's night. Beer bottles lie shattered alongside dreams on mean streets. Leathered flowers wait to be picked under blasting billboards. Lonely old boys come in cars to rent heaven by the hour. Spilling out of bars, young dopes on punk, fashionably tough. Spiked heads and hearts, drowning in a chainsaw beat. In alley's shadows, ghosts practice chemical warfare in ancient memoirs. Land-sick sailors stagger into hazy body shops to watch erotic ballet. On a neon street corner, heated words are flung. Something about a gold chain and somebody's mama. A loud pop! One man runs. One man lies slumped in a doorway. A bloody rag doll. No explanation needed. It's night.
Thank you for getting that. Hey, let's give the people on stage a chance to do their thing on stage, all right? That's right. People in the peanut gallery can do the people on the stage after this set. Be ready to go. It's the slam. Let's see some scores. 5.0, 6.8.
with a cup of it on them. This makes me cry, and that concerns you. Say we're almost out of coffee now, and that really concerns you. And you go back to clutching your chest to remember the last time someone asked you if your heart was in the right place. You really couldn't answer. It hurts here, where I'm standing, with my arms up over my head in a V, for violence. For the violence of God, for the violence of birth, for being a victim to the victory of them both together in the same world. It's not whether you win or lose, it's how you stay alive.
This is Paul Brucker after 3.5 hours of poetry with the winner, the one who won it all, Cindy Salach. She won the Poetry Slam tonight on September 27th, 1987. Tell me, what was your strategy? Why do you think you won this one?
It was definitely the judges. Yeah, they were on my side.
Did you practice on this? How did you prepare yourself for tonight?
I decided at the last minute didn't give myself too much time to get nervous.
What did it feel like to be up there on stage and have all those people looking at you and judging your work?
It's very cool. I mean, there's so many times that I've written poems and, you know, lined up my friends, all your best friends, and they listen to your poems because they're your friends. But everybody that comes to the Green Mill on Sunday night really wants to hear poetry. So when you're up there reading, you know they're really listening to you. It's very cool.
It's a very supportive atmosphere there.
Yeah, very supportive.
Isn't there a sense of risk, though? Aren't you kind of nervous? Isn't it your ego on the line about whether or not your particular poem will go over or not?
Are you really a poet? Yeah, it's the question that you get answered when you go up there. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I love to write. Reading is something I've discovered since I've come here. I mean, there's a big difference between writing a poem and then getting up in front of people and reading it. So when you get off the stage and people come up to you afterwards and they go, you know, I really enjoyed your stuff. Yeah, I really heard what you were saying. It made a lot of sense to me. Then, you know, it's a risk going up there, but it's always worth it. Always.
Always. You've won some and you've lost some. You were the big winner tonight. But what's it like if you go up there and somehow, you know, you give it your best shot and you get kind of a lukewarm or a thumbs down response from the crowd?
Actually, it's not such a bad thing. I mean, they always clap for you. There's never dead silence when you're done reading a poem, which I suppose would probably be the worst, or if they laughed in the wrong spots. But yeah, the only other time I slammed, I got wiped out in the first round. So it was a real quickie, and I can't, you know, you're just, it's a letdown. But at least they heard me read.
What do you think the criteria is, or criteria are? I'm not sure which, well, to be grammatically correct, it should be.
License. I don't have to use grammar.
Okay. But I mean, what do you think goes through that? I mean, the judges are picked basically out of the air, or, you know, but I mean, what, you get a score or something. What does that mean to you? What do you think the criteria is or are for the judges when they listen to and evaluate your work?
I've read a lot of things about people that have been in the slam before and said that they thought it was a bad thing for poetry to be judged because it's art and it's, you know, subjective and how can you judge it. But, I mean, the way it started out was more tongue-in-cheek, more just to give people the opportunity to get up there and read. So, have it be judged, it's still subjective. So, I mean, if they like it, that's great. They'll get to hear more poems. I mean, lots of times the judges are just people that have never even, you know, they just happened in here.
Well, they've never read a poem since 7th grade.
Exactly. It's completely innocent.
Well, what does it take to be a good MC here at the Green Mill?
A tuxedo shirt and a nice vest, and you got to have permission from the boss, Dave Gemolo, who owns the place. No, sir, I'm taking over from my buddy Mark Smith, who is indisposed today and will be back soon. And Mark taught me everything I know. You got to be ruthless. You got to ruthless and snap your fingers. If they go longer than 3 minutes in the slam, they snap them right off the stage.
So brevity is also a criteria.
Well, we live in a TV age. Let's face it, we're all TV people, literary people in a TV world. I'm sorry, Carl Watson, I butchered your line. We're raised with very short attention spans, and these people are drinking out here. You know, I mean, it's a real challenge to put poetry across.
So you've mentioned a lot of people just in the course of our conversation here. These are local poets. Like there's a sense of community or camaraderie among poets in this town.
Yeah, they hang out together. Yeah, they do. They support each other. They know each other's business. They write poems about each other. You should come on parody night.
What's that like?
Well, the poets make fun of each other's styles. But it's all done in good fun. We're having a poetry bowling, by the way, next Wednesday. No, November 1st, Southport Lanes. Poetry bowling. It's lots of fun.
What role do you think poetry plays in the life of a typical Chicagoan right now? And what's the point of having an Uptown Slam? Is it just for yourselves, or is it for John Q. Public as well?
Well, the cash register keeps on ringing. That's the bottom line. Tonight, I'm a Chicago public school teacher, and I'm on strike right now. I'm making a couple extra dollars being an MC, trying to put art out. What can I say? It's also, I think the point of it is people get to say what they want to say, get up and say it, and people come and listen. So whether it's therapy for the people who are listening or talking, I don't know. But I'm sure some people use it that way.
So is there any danger becoming too establishment?
I doubt it. And part of what we do is try to disestablish, too. This is not sanctimonious, and it's not sacrosanct, and it's not permanent either. One of the things that we do is give you what you don't expect, which is why it keeps going on. I think. We try to keep a vital show going, and we love these clippings. They're wonderful, but nobody sends any money in these things. I don't know why. You open it up, and there's nothing in it.
So what do you think is the main benefit?